story happened when my friends and I were 16 years old. There were holidays and we walked until late in the evening. One day my friend Vance offered to experience the real extreme. I agreed with David. Let's go where Vance led us. It was 6 in the evening, winter. It was already getting dark outside. We walked through the old park. The park is probably 40 years old. In the summer I like to walk here. You can bask in the sun or hide from the intense heat under a tree in the shade. Having quickly passed through the whole park, we crossed the road and walked a little more to the wasteland. We stopped near a huge abandoned building. I don't know exactly how old this building is, probably the same as our park. Vance, are you sure this is what we really want to feel? David looked puzzled at his friend. I totally agree with David. Don't be so afraid. There is nothing to be really afraid of here. Just an abandoned asylum, that's all. He said it in such a cheerful voice that goosebumps ran down my back, and I shivered. It has been closed for quite a long time, 20 years, probably. The building was half burned down. To tell you the truth, I had no desire to go inside. Well, what could I see there? It was an ordinary abandoned building, hundreds of them. Perhaps what scared me the most was the state of emergency. Already inside the hospital, I suspected something was wrong. Well, as I suspected, I felt more. Of course, this is an old building and a lot has happened here, but the energy was crazy. I then, like my friends, was turned to mysticism, and we simply considered such places as energy vampires. Guys, have you heard that if you find yourself in an abandoned place, it will take your soul? That is, in fact, we are already without a soul. We were silent. I didn't want to say anything. I just wanted to get out of here as quickly as possible. Why David was silent, I did not know, but I figured it out years later. Of course, I could run away, but I did not want my friends to consider me a coward. For us it was tantamount to betrayal. Since he is a coward, then it costs nothing to betray him. That's how we thought then. Climbing the stairs to the second floor, broken down over the years, I realized that my knees were shaking. I don't know what happened to me at that moment. There was no such fear, but only a premonition of something bad. I think it was the instinct of self-preservation. I should have listened to him. We entered the first door that came our way. There was a table inside. He was like new. The window, along with the frame, had been broken long ago, and there was just a hole in the wall. And the table stood and was not dusty. That hit me then. Why wasn't it broken? Why was he even here? I felt a little dizzy and staggered. I have to say thank you to David. If it wasn't for him catching my falling body, I'd obviously have a concussion. All Vance went to the exit. You don't see Timothy already bad. Vance obeyed without a word. I was even a little shocked. I've known Vance all my life and he couldn't just listen without putting in his word. Then I did not notice this oddity. We went down to the first floor and were dumbfounded. There were no ruins, instead of them life was in full swing here. People in white coats walked back and forth. Nurses and orderlies led patients somewhere. The building lived its former life. Jenkins, why are you walking around the hospital? I turned around and saw a young nurse. She stood on the stairs with her hands on her hips. Timothy, what did the doctor tell you? You must be in the room. I looked at her in disbelief. How does she know me? What's going on here? I've been running around looking for David from Vance. They were nowhere. They vanished into thin air. Vance, I called. David, playing with your friends again. The nurse sighed and started walking towards me. Timothy, how many times can I repeat them to you? They grabbed my hand and led me up the stairs. The drugs must not be working. Well, I'll report this to your doctor. Where are we going? I don't know why I didn't try to break free. Just followed her. It was like I was bewitched. I knew that I was doing wrong, that I needed to go downstairs, to run from this place at breakneck speed. Where's Timothy? The nurse stopped and looked at me in surprise. I'm taking you to the room. I was like in a stupor. Even when they brought me into the ward and locked it with a key. The room was small and contained only one bed. Window with bars. Going to the window, I looked at the streets. 4th floor. There are no souls on the street. I automatically raised my hand to look at the time. There was no watch on my wrist. And I myself was in gray pajamas. Where have my friends gone? And I don't know the clothes. Soon my doctor came, an elderly man with a clearly painted mustache. He looked at me over his glasses and nodded to himself and left the room. I don't know how much time has passed, but by my count, about 2 minutes. The same nurse who brought me here appeared. She had a syringe in her hand, with a suspicious blue content. They gave me an injection, and I fell into oblivion. I woke up in the ward of the city clinical hospital. From the medical staff, I learned that I was found with a broken head in an abandoned psychiatric hospital. Vance and David weren't found. A drug was found in my blood. I am not a drug addict, and it was strange. They did not believe my stories about the psychiatric hospital, and the doctor advised me to quickly forget all this. He explained this to me by saying that I could become a psychiatric patient if I continued to talk about it to everyone and everything. Since then I have been silent. I have been silent all these years until today. Until my friends Vance and David showed up at my house. Everything would be fine, but they look exactly the same as 20 years ago. And the thing was that after my discharge from the hospital, the bodies of my friends were found. David's throat was cut and Vance's neck was broken. I don't know what happened to my friends then. The police closed the case for lack of evidence. They only told me that my friends and I most likely ran into scumbags.
Thank you for your attention. Subscribe to the channel.